How about that? That might be the best performance I've ever seen from Mackenzie Dern. That was clinical. She thoroughly used submissions to get the sweep, maintain position, resettled it, set up the final armbar, and then got it in the end. The initial armbar did not work, right? But she waited and waited and waited and got it. And she also had the same reversal in the last fight off the omoplata, which she caught. But she had a takedown in this. We're going to talk about it. That was a great performance. That was a great performance by her. I was a little bit down on her. I mean, I guess in the end, before the main event, I said I took a flyer on her. I wasn't really sure what to expect from her. It's the first time in a while I felt a little bit of optimism with her. That was a great performance. Very good job. The difference for me, as I'm absorbing this and processing what we just saw, that performance in general, there's a lot to like about it. But I think for me, the biggest thing I take away from that is how methodical it was. There was plenty of improvisation, actually, which was part of the interesting dichotomy with this one. But more than that, these were attacks that took time to unfold. It took patience. It took thoughtfulness. It took execution. It took precision. It took timing. Right? These are not just, you can wade in with a big shot and you catch one and hey, you won because you were more aggressive and you took the offensive initiative. Those are great things to have, but they aren't necessarily the biggest signifiers of skill differential. This was, first of all, there was good resistance. Obviously, I thought Ribas won round 2. There was a nice moment off the top of the collar tie to the inside of the armpit to bait the head going out, which then used to switch to the omoplata. But short of that, I thought Ribas had a pretty good round. This was good opposition. This was an opponent who had a win over Mackenzie Dern, for crying out loud. The first UFC event of 2025 is now in the books. In your main event, Mackenzie Dern winning. Let me pull up the exact results so I'm not sharing any fake news here. As best I can minimize the damage. All right, here we go. Mackenzie Dern wins via armbar, round 3. Defeating Amanda Ribas. Let me get the exact timing. Oh, Jesus, fuck, if I may here. Your exact timing was, I don't have it here on this. I'm looking on Tapology. They don't have it up yet. But a third round armbar, suffice it to say. Okay. Let me pull up Mackenzie Dern's record here because I have to tell you, that might be my favorite performance from her ever. I'm not saying it's the absolute best she's ever looked, although maybe there's something to be said for that. Let's go through her record here very quickly. By the way, here's the timing tonight. It was 4:56, so right at the end of the round. She's got wins against Ashley Yoder, Amanda Cooper, whatever, Hannah Cyphers. The Virna Genjiroba fight was strong for her. The Nina Ansaroff, Nina Nunes one was also strong for her. Tisha Pennington was not, although she got the win there. Angela Hill was fine, but she didn't look good against Jessica Andrade or Amanda Lemos. She had a bit of a setback. She looked good against Godinez. Yeah, I'm trying to think. She's obviously had performances where she was able to get first-round stoppages. It's not necessarily like the most dominant win by any stretch. Again, I thought she lost the second round against Amanda Ribas. But I would like to repeat what I said before. This was a methodical performance from Mackenzie Dern. This was patient. I didn't love everything about it. She came out with these overhand wild blitzes, kind of running through position. But she was active with the kicks from the beginning. Even if a lot of them were busy shots, it put Amanda Ribas on the defensive posture. She had hardly any offense going in the first round. Was able to get control in the second round, had some good top control for Amanda Ribas, and that kind of was the deciding factor in large part with that. Fine. Okay. She's a credentialed and experienced competitor. But what really sort of stood out to me about the Mackenzie Dern performance was, as I mentioned before, she had to exercise patience in order to get there. Playing underneath on guard, she had to be, take a little bit of risk, but it was calculated. It was well timed. Again, the setups with the collar tied to the armpit for the omoplata, and then secondly, that framing of the armbar. She was reaching across to the far side to kind of spin out that way and to take her off of her base, and she couldn't. So she went the other direction and then was able to roll over her shoulder. So trying different things underneath once you had the armbar locked up to go and take it in that direction. It was great. This might be my favorite performance from her. Genuinely speaking, I'm processing it in real time. I'd have to think about this a little bit, but she made, again, not flawless, but she made thoughtful decisions. She was patient about them. She didn't take a lot of damage in this one. She was able to keep herself safe while being threatening in key positions. And then the finish itself at the end of that second round, catching the omoplata after setting it up was so nicely timed. And then I love this one, sitting for the armbar, trying different varieties, getting out, not trying to finish that armbar even once you reversed position, going back to mount, recalibrating, restarting. You might be able to hear my daughter crying, so I might have to wrap this up. But everything, recentering everything from mount, and then setting up that final one right at the end of the round, like going for it when you know you have the time, even if it doesn't miss, and then locking it up, dude. And the mechanics of it, she sat right on top, like perfect positioning. There's no daylight on those positions where people have room to wiggle free. There's just no fat on it, hardly at all, especially for like the middle of a tough, MMA fight. And once you had was Ribas using an S grip to hold it? Or did she have the bicycle grip? I don't think so. I think she had an S grip. Once I saw that, I was like, oh, Dern's going to break this immediately, taking the hand to the head to basically it forces it open because it's mechanically too hard to hold at that point. And then you rotate it back, and then here it comes up, boom, and then she finished it off. Dude, that was sick. That was super sick. I let me pull up the rankings here because that's going to inform the conversation a little bit here. And let's be honest and review what I said previously on Friday's MK. I did not necessarily have great expectations for this one. Let me pull back down here. She is sitting currently, Mackenzie Dern, at 6th. And so this win was over Ribas with 8. So it would be interesting to see what happens here. But obviously, we'll see a little bit later. I did not have high expectations for this. I think Dern has kind of had moments where obviously the jiu-jitsu has always been there, and there's been flashes. There's been some fights where, like the Angela Hill fight, like she really had great offensive urgency in a lot of different phases, and it was good. But you thought maybe like Hill was a little bit overmatched there, and then of course she gets like roughed up against Andrade. You're like, okay, yes, Andrade is a heavy puncher, but this is a little bit much. And then the Lemos fight too. But this one, to me, I don't think that we can take from it, all of the other issues that we've identified, particularly in the striking department, have magically gone away. I don't think that. But if the double leg she got was pretty good, it was pretty well timed. Again, all the methodical thinking and application and execution that went into that final sequence and the end of the second round as well was good. It was really good. And Ribas is an experienced competitor, had a win over her previously, like as a great measuring stick of development. This was the right performance at the right time. I've never been sure if Dern was like coming or going, or obviously he's going to be a threat at all times and has been very durable. She might be the most durable jiu-jitsu fighter since Nogueira, to be honest with you. I mean, the amount of damage she takes is insane. That's obviously an over-exaggeration, but her composure under fire is really good. Even if she had a lot of defensive lapses, like there's been elements of the game that I thought were there at times, but it just never felt consistent. And I don't know if this is the beginning of a consistent run, but she's 31 years old. She's still inside, should be anyway, of her physical prime. She has shown good durability. I don't know. It felt like this performance, she put together a lot of the right things right at a moment where we're like, is something going to happen here during your prime? Maybe it will. Maybe it actually will. I've been down on the idea, but maybe it actually will. In front of her, Amanda Ribas, okay, that's tough, but we'll see. Jessica Andrade, obviously, but they're not going to rush her back to a title shot. Then you got Virna Jandiroba, who she has a win over, and then Yan Xiaonan, who just lost, and then Suarez gets the title. I mean, they might, maybe she has to win one more. I think she had identified pre-fight that like she would have to get this one, and I think at least one, maybe two more before she gets a title shot. I don't think she will. She might get one off of this, depending on how it goes. But I think my big takeaway was I really liked how methodical it was. I think it was the right performance at the right time. That's my second takeaway. And it doesn't make me think that there aren't issues that are still in play that another opponent or stylistic matchup could really take advantage of. But between the takedown, between the thoughtful setups on the ground, between, have a concerted like kicking game on the feet, that was a nice performance, man. That really was. That was pretty good. Let me see the stats here now that they're in on this fight. Man, so here's this one. Let's compare this if we can to their first fight. So in that one, dude, man, big difference. Wow. Okay, check this out. So this is tonight's fight. Dern, 27 of 46 strikes. Ribas just 17. How does that break out per round? Wow, not much. 12 and 10 in the first round, single digits in the second. There was hardly anything going on there, just the top control. Obviously, here by Ribas, and there was the reversal that she was credited with. And then just 12 and 4. So Dern was a little bit busier on top, as we kind of saw there. Not a lot going on. Compare that to their first fight, and you get some of that, I suppose. Dern not really knowing which way she's going, but like, look at this 16, 22, 36, and there's no control time. So she was touching her up on the feet, right? It's just in terms of what the stats show us. You didn't get that at all this time. She was much better, much better, much better about defensive work there. Much better about, yeah, listen, I mean, Amanda Ribas was deeply inaccurate. Wow. Incredible. She threw 151 strikes and only 17 that landed were significant for Ribas. Wow. Like 10% of what she threw total was a significant strike that landed. 10%. Like the vast majority of what she was throwing and landed not of significant value. Well, it can be a non-significant strike and still be of value. I'm using the words interchangeably here, but you get my point. It would be a travesty if travesty is maybe a strong word. It would be a fucking travesty if two things happen with Mackenzie Dern. One, through just the nature of how her career turns out and when she got wins and when she didn't, if she just never got a title shot. You know, you couldn't lament that she should have gotten one and didn't. I'm saying, like, with full recognition, it just didn't work out, right? That would be real bad. It would be a travesty. The other one that would be a travesty is not as bad as that. It would be like if they, just had gifted it to her early on and it was like a, complete waste of everyone's time or something. But, I don't think she's necessarily facing that. I think if they gave her the title shot off of this, I don't know how much complaining there would be. Again, we're living in a world where they gave a title shot for different reasons, but they gave a title shot to, an 8th ranked contender against Poatan, and the fight worked out for a lot of people in a lot of good ways, including the division itself. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is it would be nice, man, if Mackenzie Dern, I'm not saying she has to get a title shot off of this. I am surmising there's a possibility of that. I'm saying it would be good if in her career, she at some point is fighting for a UFC title. And whether she wins or loses, this is too hard to speculate. And I wouldn't at this point. But it's nice to see, again, it wasn't like she was flailing, but for me, that was a bit of a restoration of hope that she can use the skills that she has more effectively by building other tools around it rather than having single-digit takedown success rate. She can now build some of the other things around it, and then the mastery of the jiu-jitsu itself like really kind of takes over when it needs to in very effective and obvious ways. But like building the other pieces around it has been a real inconsistent build. Noting that there's, again, a different stylistic matchup with a striker could yield vastly different results. I still feel like there was a lot to like from this performance in putting a lot of different pieces of the puzzle together to get a great result over a super solid opponent. Yeah, that was awesome.